Those who want to follow along, the stuff is on GitHub in a repo. You can just, yeah, I think basically clone it and install, and it's set up to work with VS Code, not necessarily with other IDEs, because it uses clicks to grab a specific nightly that the stuff works with best, and stuff like that. Riding the bleeding edge. So yeah, exactly. So we'll have to build something nice. So far, there's nothing interesting in here. We just have our entry point that calls, that creates our root view and then mounts it into the document's body. It looks the same in Coconut VDOM, which we're using here, and Coconut React. And in most frameworks, backends will look like that. Take this piece of virtual UI and mount it into this native view, and then the framework comes alive, basically. So this thing gets compiled out into app hx6 and empty attributes. That's a call. And there's a library that does this. It's called hx6. So that's like JSX for Haxe. It has a few extensions like control structures, which you don't necessarily need in Haxe 4 anymore. Bunch of rules, switch statements, loops, stuff like that. And there are various ways that it actually, if it sees an identifier, tries to resolve it into something. It will look, is it a function? Then it will try to call it. It packs together all attributes into one object and all children into one array, puts it in there, and then you get type errors naturally from the compiler if you screw up any part of that. In the end, you mean? Let's go here. Basically, this is what it renders to. It makes an oh yeah, it's a plain string literal. You can also, because it's Haxe 4, you can also write this, but then you don't have such nice syntax highlighting. And this is actually, well, there's a guy, Jeremy Favre on GitHub. He's made a small library that you can run. It patches your Haxe syntax and gives you, in any string, actually, this is a test. In any string gives you XML highlighting. In any single quoted string. Double quoted, it doesn't do that. Which I think generally is quite useful, but the VS Haxe team does not seem to agree. So, okay. We'll be using that mostly because it throws off the parser and the highlighting less. But same would also work without it. So yeah, we create this app thingy, mounted into the body, and there's nothing particularly interesting here. Just a bit of markup. Here's a little helper that basically creates CSS classes for us anonymously, so you don't have to bother writing much CSS and some preprocessor or stuff like that. It gives the stuff conflict-free names, and then it's just somehow applied. So if you look here, for example, you see that the class that is generated from this is just very short, as 0, and the rule here is scoped to that class and stuff like that. Is that large enough? Does everybody see that, or should I increase font size now? So that's just a simple way of adding styling without bothering to adding a CSS processor in the middle. But you could do this any way you want. Okay, so we have an application. Does anybody have anything in particular they would like to see built? A game, calendar. Sorry? A calculator. Okay, I suppose we could build a calculator. This is going to be interesting. I've never actually built a calculator. Okay, so I suppose we have a calculator. We're gonna split this into a model and a view, maybe. And to declare something as a model, this is actually, I didn't show this previously, say that it's a model. We're going to just very quickly make a calculated view. Sorry. It's okay? Oh, wait. In this case, okay, I guess it complains because we have no render methods. So div I don't know, do something. Yeah. Ah, right. I don't know. It's a mistake on my behalf. I want you. Okay, let's just ignore that for now. And so we're gonna have a bunch of buttons, right? From 0 to 9. Well, from okay, let's do first from what do calculators look like? Ah, wait. Actually, this comes with one built in. Okay, great. Let's start maybe easier. Okay, so that's an awful lot of fields. So yeah, we have those, and then we have actually, you know what? Just to show that digit attribute value is an int, I guess. Bless you. So we're gonna just create a little helper function right here. So, and now what we can do is simply digit value is high. Okay, so basically in this case, this actually compiles to a function call here at least. And then we're gonna have a digit value 0. divot, yeah. Okay, we have those. Let's see. That's probably not gonna look very interesting, but still. Calculator view. So let's see if this compiles. Okay. Wow, very modest. Okay, so static file, let's call it button. Let's make our buttons pretty. I don't know, some padding will be nice. 20 pixels. And maybe for those that are digits, we're gonna make the background green. Something. Another one. I'm sorry. Attributes. So we're gonna say op is an operation. Know what an operation is yet. We soon will. Plus, and I don't know, let's call it result. Right, so we're gonna do operation equals, what did I call it? Plus, I guess. And result. And this is going to return again. Oh yeah. To this, we're going to add the digit class as well. And this is going to be a button class. Button. Let's do it different. Let's say that all digits are buttons. Okay. And operations are plain buttons. And in here we could say switch, or let's make a standard Haxe switch. Switch up. So case plus case result. Okay. See if this compiles. Known identifier. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so this compiles now. This will still look a bit weird. So what do we want this to be? 3 by 4 or something? Where is this? Is it? Yeah. Display flags, and then we're gonna say, what is it? Flags wrap. CSS. Yeah. Nice. And we're gonna say that any immediate child of this will have a flag spaces of pixel. Hope this does roughly what I wanted to do. It's just an attempt to lay this out in a grid. Okay. This is beginning to look like a calculator. Okay, let's make it maybe less. Max width. Sorry. Woo. Okay, so right now this does very little, as you might have observed. So okay, now we have two possibilities. We can pretend that we know nothing about the calculator model in the view, or we could pass it directly. I think we're just for kicks, we're going to go the more complicated route and pass individual parts of it. Yeah, not what I wanted. Attribute function on input digit is an int. Attribute function. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm not very good at naming stuff. Is an operation. Okay. So now basically, if we look, I guess here, hopefully, compile then maybe. Yeah. Okay. It's going to tell us that it lacks all this stuff. So var, let's call it value. Oh, we want that to be a number, I guess. Oops. Yeah. Input. Well, call it input digit. Int. Okay, and here comes the part where I need to perhaps explain something. So Coconut models have this. They do have plain properties that you can just set with setters, and then the whole thing triggers. You would do something like foo as a string, and then everybody can set this and blah blah blah. All things marked as observables can only be updated through transitions. Those are somewhat synchronized. They can be asynchronous, so they always expect you to return a promise, or they can always deal with that, let's say. And they can prevent multiple transitions from running at the same time and stuff like that. So it's usually, or often in that transition, you make a call to a server or something like that. To happen in an orderly fashion. In this case, we're doing nothing so complicated. But what you have to do is you have to return an object which for every observable, which may have a field for every observable property that there is. In this case, we have only one. So I guess value becomes value times 10 plus digit. Is that correct? I hope so. Transition function form operation. Op is an operation. So for now we'll make these just reset the calculator. Doesn't make it a very good calculator, but there's always something. Just so that we can stop having compiler errors. So here we say the value is model value on input, I think, what do we call this? On input model input digit, and on operation we for operation. Does this work? Int should be string because oh yeah, okay. And so yeah, in here we're just going to have no buttons, but let's call it button grid. Is that maybe good? So all this go into the button grid. Let's put all these to the button grid. And here we can put another div where we display the current value. Okay, let's see if this compiles at all. Okay, so right now this still does nothing because we're not triggering the callback. And luckily we have this this wonderful function here, so we're just going to say on click, what did we call it? On input attribute value. This is, by the way, just a highlighting, just a short way of writing this. So the macro that transforms this knows that you need to put a function. If you put there is not a function, but something else, then wrap it in a function form. You may or may not like that. I know some people prefer explicitness. So, you're free not to use it. Okay, so now let's see if this crashes. No, apparently not. Wonderful. Okay, and so also click on operation attribute top. So yeah, wonderful, right? Model. Actually, this should probably be called input, right? Because there's some value behind the scenes, if I'm not mistaken. Because operator precedence and all this kind of stuff. Well, let's start with the simple one that can add, and we can work our way up. So yeah, where was I going? Yeah, okay. So this is cool. So I suppose we have the value and the input. Then of course our application is probably going to be unhappy. Okay, so what we'll just do here is we will just shove all the properties with the right names from the model into the view. So this takes input and value and forwards them. And the one that we want to be seeing, however, is Sorry? No, well, there is a proposal to make it to a Haxe syntax thing. But no, this is basically inspired from JSX, which takes this from standard JavaScript. So the way that if you declare an object, say foo is 12 and bar is 42, and some rest, then what this is going to create is an object that takes all the stuff from rest and foo and bar, puts them together. And whoever designed JSX said that the usage here is similar enough to reuse that symbol. That is actually an exception that is specifically treated by the markup parser in HXX. So basically, whenever you open an attribute here, it actually allows explicitly 3 dots, and then. I'm sorry. No, it's a macro that picks them up. You can also use the standard JSX syntax just to make porting easier. Take a bit of, you can take a React component, you can slap that in, and it tends to work. With well, nothing's perfect. So yeah, so we have the value and that other thing. Let's add one more operation. Yes. Or maybe multiple ones, times and minus. And we're not going to divide because then we have fractions. Maybe we will. Why not? Of course, this makes things more complicated. Sorry. Okay. Which ones? These ones. So we have to take these into account. Divided minus times. Yeah. Okay. Load. Yeah, now Coconut is starting to complain that it doesn't know how to render a float, which is, people are always shocked by this, but this was a deliberate choice because float representation is always English and usually not that human readable, so this makes the programmer think about how they actually want to display it. But of course, we're just going to use that exact representation for the purpose of this demonstration. Don't do that at home. Okay. Now I broke something. No, this should be the input. Okay, so let's see. Now we can. Now basically the UI part is kind of done. Say. So we get to do the fun stuff of implementing a calculator. Do I need something here? No. So in here we will. We need to actually push the current operation, right? Private in calculator date. Let's not make it private. You might actually want to look into that. I don't know, what do I call this? Let's call it idle. In var state is calculated or state is idle. Is that right? And so what actually happens? Put in, if you press an operation, then one thing you do know is that the input does actually get reset to 0, right? And what we do need to do is to update the state. So we're going to look at the incoming operation, and we're going to look at our current state. Let's just return it for now. So there's a queue. Yeah. Yeah. How do I write queued? Is that queued? Is that English? Okay, cool. Operation and the value. Okay, so the easy case is if the calculator was idle. And the operation is, what did I call it? Result, right? Then actually nothing should happen. Or should something happen? Oh, nothing should happen. I think not. If the operation is result and queued operation and some value, then it's going to be more interesting. Static function perform op as operation, A is float, B is float. Actually, I'm starting to, well, whatever. We can always improve that later. So case result. This should actually not happen. So yeah, result probably isn't an operation. But let's pretend we didn't take that wrong turn. We can fix it later. Divided and times. Okay. So if there's a queued operation, then what we want the state to be is actually this is the previous operation. So we want the new operation, and we want to be performing the previously queued one, and with the value that we had and the input that we currently got. Is that right? Oh. Love it. What else could there be? Oh yeah, and then there's actually, let me think. This is why modeling is so important. queued value. Let's just call it that way. Does that make sense? Sorry? Well, but I don't necessarily have an operator. I don't necessarily have an operator. Sorry? Yeah. Need 7. Hang on. You do +4. You got the 4. No, you got the 4 for now. You got the 4 and you got the plus queued and you have the 3 queued. And if you press plus then you got the 7 queued and the plus queued. Now but here's the thing, if you press on result, which right now is an operation, I already hate myself, then you need to store the 7 without an operation too. All right, yes. Okay, then the input does not always become 0. Very good. So then let's do it differently. So if so if you press on result while you're idle, nothing happens. Okay. If you press on result while something is queued, then you go right to the input being that thing. Perform value input. Yeah. What else is there? Any other operation while you're idle should reset the input to 0 and put the state to queue input, and I don't know, the operation goes first, right? This one? And then there's this one, I guess. Actually, I need to name this. It's just the same twice. So in this case, wait, so what's the thing? We already got 4 plus 3, and we say plus. So we want to queue the result and the new operation, and so here's where we perform previous operation. Maybe. Calculator state. Where is my calculator state? Here you go. Queued. Sorry? Oh, because I started renaming things. Shouldn't have. Because, okay, now Haxe wants me to import this. What is it? Calculator state. Object requires field value. No, it doesn't. It actually doesn't. What it does is it requires calculate a state. Woohoo! Okay, still don't have that many operations, but let's see. Okay, that could be about right. We'll do another thing here. Yeah. Switch over the state. Switch. So there's case idle. And then there's the case, there's something is queued, the up and the value. Let's extract this. Okay. So what was I about to do? So what we want to do here is standard string value, and then up to string up, so that we actually see what's going on. Okay, this looks pretty neat. Let's add a few more operators. We had 3 more, right? Times minus times div. Okay. That's interesting. Funnily enough, I think that's how calculators actually behave, right? If you continue pressing equals, it reapplies the thing. That's an interesting. Yeah, so now you know how that behavior was created. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I guess the solution would be, in this case, to actually want to prevent that, put the state back to idle here, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and then does that. And I mean, so the way that we've done things here is 56. Is of course it doesn't have operator precedence, so we would have to make a slightly more complex state to do that. But like all of this is actually not so much UI related, because all the UI does is just to send the numbers to the model. And so yeah, now you can do this, give this to 2 different teams. One operator precedence team, and the other one that makes the UI look less bad. Is there anything we want to add to this? Or something else? Sorry? A bit more Counter-Strike. Screen shake, yeah. Okay. Let me think. Well, I mean, okay, if you wanted to make it shake, because this is HTML, you would just use CSS animations. That's maybe not, but we can try and make it more interactive. For example, let's say I mean stuff that's kind of, yeah, this one. Yes, I can. Should I? Okay. Well, in that case, okay, I'll first do my thing and then we'll make it pretty. So we're going to have a disabled field here. So disable. So we can disable the button, and then we, for example, we're just going to say that division is disabled when input 0. And what else could we say? We could also say that result is disabled if state is idle. Let's see if that does anything. Is it disabled? Okay, it is disabled. We just didn't style the disable. You can see that this one can be pressed and this one can't and this one can't. So no, actually this was this is wrong. You can always do this. What you can't do, make it a bit more complex. Switch state. So if the state is idle, then it's going to be false. And if the state is queued with division and any value, and then it's going to be disabled if the current input equals 0. And by default, it's going to be disabled. I'm sorry, I had this the wrong way around. Static final disabled. So yeah, and here we're going to say opacity is 0. Well, that's a bit much. So this is going to be a button, and we're going to add disable if attribute is disabled. This work. So you see now, now this thing is something. Still can't have a result because we're not actually performing any operations, so now we do plus. Now we can do something, but now this. Oh wait, when should it be? Okay. So I'm sorry. So now we're going to say we want to divide by something, and so long as it's null, this thing is stable, it should, and yeah, since we start inputting. Okay. Now we have 81.8. Okay, so now let's make it shiny or something. Fancy button, extend view. So we're gonna make a fancy button. Static. Well, let's just use this consistently, I guess. Where do I put this down? Well, okay. So, I'm sorry. We just pass in the class from outside. Be that. Class name is a class name. Let's make this optional. Attribute var child label is a string, and attribute function on click. Oh yeah. Sorry. Is there a problem? Oh, it's there now. Okay. Compiler is angry. So here we can put the label, class name, and the on click. So we're gonna use fancy buttons here. Okay. Let's just leave the casing consistent. Should be string. Okay. Let's just, this is type. That means everything that can be rendered directly. So it's either a string or int or a bool or actually a piece of virtual DOM. It's called a render result. Fancy button has no attribute disabled. Well, it should soon have one. Attribute. By default, it's not going to be disabled. 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 Also, actually, at this point, we might just do this. That's again just going to, yeah, look at stuff in scope and look at all the stuff that's acceptable for buttons and to pump it in. Which I hope now it compiles. Okay. Let's see if the application is actually still running. Nice. Attribute, no. And then we're gonna have the state color is what's it gonna be? I think it's gonna be string. Equals start with black. Okay. Style. Okay. And So here we're going to forward to on click, but before all that, we're going to say color is standard 100 shifted by 16. Shifted by 8. What did I do? This might be a random color. Probably an ugly one, but as you see, you can see nothing. Are we actually using this? Patient digit. I think I might have an idea why. Maybe string interpolation is not applied here. Sure. Well. Oh, okay. So yeah, then now it's a really nice calculator. It's everybody's dream calculator. Okay, so now it pops. How much now? Okay. Do we want to build anything else, maybe, or do you want to stay on the topic of calculating? Primary application. Okay, sounds good. So let's okay. So what does the timer look like? Well, it's better to, it says timer here. Okay. So I get to pick a time, and then I say go, and then it's running. All right. Well, let's start with the timer. No, sorry. My bad. So we're gonna be needing something like digit max. What's the maximum digit? It's, let's say we want to max it at 24 hours. One. Stay hour one. And we're gonna make this class later probably. Hour one is an int, and that's gonna be 0. The second state is gonna be the same, and the maximum of that one is if hour one equals 2, then it's gonna go up to 4 maximum. Otherwise 10, I guess. And digit change. Currently there's no easy two-way bindings. Because two-way bindings are tricky and nobody uses them. Apparently. At least I think the Ember team said so. Okay, now we'll take this. Syntax highlighting. Okay. Nice. Yes. Can you repeat, please? You want the hour in one state and then decompose that, kind of? Yeah, sure. Okay, let's do it that way. Maybe that's more interesting. One. So hours, minutes, second. Yeah. All right. Let me think. I'm going to make things slightly more interesting. But... Okay. So this is always going to be 2, and it's going to be standard int of hour divided by 10. I hope. So our let's call this thing. So our is going to be our modulo 10 plus 10 times digit. Is that right? I hope it is. I'm not gonna bother with these ones for now. No, actually, the dependency tracking is done at runtime because that gives better granularity. So yeah, this is going to be our modulo 10, and the maximum is going to be if our is bigger than 19.2 else 10. What is this? Standard int hour divided by 10 times 10 plus digit. Okay. Does that look sane? I'm gonna go with yes. So the maximum is gonna be 10 by default. And that's the value. Sorry? If the hour is yeah, sorry. So let's say change, we call this value. What? Okay, please compile. Okay. Server doesn't like me anymore. Okay, let's see what this does. Actually, you know what? We're gonna. Oh, well, okay. Let's look at what this gives us for now. So here we're gonna put a timer view. Unknown identifier. Oh, funny. At least I now understand why the compiler was unhappy. Okay, cool. Yeah, got one little detail. I don't know. Let's put it in a button. Buttons are beautiful. It'll look more like a form. Yes. Okay. So the more I think about it, I actually don't want to make the validation model. Change hours, minutes, seconds, on change hours, seconds. Our ends. I'll just pull out all the state. So, and we'll do the validation in the model itself. Okay. Now somebody's gonna hate us, I guess. Expected. What? Argument. Ah, because I didn't make them. It's just this time a model. I'll just dump this in here for fun. Oh, well, let's not be that lazy. Thank you. Well, that worked out fine. Okay, we have the model here. New timer model. pass and everything. Observable hours, minutes, second, and a transition update time. Set time. Let's go set time. Hours, minutes, seconds. Okay, so this permits setting the time. And in here we should do some validation eventually later. First, let's see that this files on change is set time. What? Oh, time set time. Is this right? Okay. So, here we have a single digit. And let's make a double digit. Extends a view as well. This also has this kind of stuff. Why is this? Sorry, function. So we're going to just push this code down from, yeah. Value. Why did I copy that? Double digits. Value is hours. And when this changes, okay, we'll know it in a moment. Well, let's put this in the div. Okay. Hours, minutes, seconds. We're gonna put some columns in between. Minutes, 0 minutes, and seconds. Let's see what it does. Any arguments? No, these things don't belong here anymore. Let's call this one down. Hours. Why did I do that? Okay, now it compiles. Layout is not quite optimal as usual. Yeah. Again, a mistake on my part. Hours, seconds. Okay. So what do we do now? I suppose we could do some validation. I'll use a big maximum, and otherwise we return the value. So personally not, no, but yeah, tastes differ, I guess. I would like to remove it from the language so that we can do other stuff with the question mark. Because, I mean, we already have if to accomplish the same. I see why it's in C and other languages that have statements, but when everything is an expression. Oh, okay. This is kind of funny. But I guess it makes sense, sort of. What? I don't know. This is probably better. Understood. What can I do here? Interesting. Well, we can build that at some point. It goes up to 99 hours. Wow. Well, that's going to be the premium version of the timer. Okay. All right. So we have all of this set. I don't know. Let's make it slightly less ugly. Just a second. And we'll make it like so, and then X direction column, I guess. No. Why are these actually? Ah. Okay. Well, that's one way to solve this. Flex grid is awesome. All right, this is a div. I see. That makes sense, sort of. Yeah. Let me just put this in here. Probably should have left it, I suppose. Anyway. Why does this still look so? Nice. Okay, so wow, that was easy. Object requires no field stuff. Okay, so now now it's actually gonna timer dot make sense. Dynamo. Um, so we can start it, we can pause it, and we can reset, I guess. Transition, okay. So this sets the state to running. Please tell me it's time state. By default, it's paused, of course. Pull that and power time state. Here the state paused, and when we reset, the state becomes paused. Hours become 0. Minutes become 0. And the seconds become 0. Okay, so start or reset, and I want to have the state. Sorry, state. Okay. So what is there? There's always going to be a reset, and there's going to be a pause. And I'm going to say if I call this state paused. Otherwise, reset, pause. Dot. Let's put this into the lines. reset. I'm sorry. So, okay. And this compile is, of course, running. Until a certain date. Does this work? Now, using date tools. Okay. Delta hours plus minutes plus second. Okay. Controlling all this, all that, and that, and this, and oh my god, it doesn't end. Wow. And this. So, start, pause, rate. What happens when I click pause? App, on pause, pause. Okay, let's see if it works. Yes. Reset. So, disabled is state. The state is not paused. We don't want these controls to work. Okay, and now we're going to update. So there's all sorts of lifecycle methods documented, which basically get called from the framework as the view update. So this one is when first initialized, it's mounted, and this one when it updated. This tick function, and we're gonna look at the state. If it's paused, we're gonna do nothing. If it's running, so oh, this is even worse. Oh, okay. If it's running until some time, then date from time delta smaller than 0, and the thing is no longer in the future, we'll just call reset. Otherwise, Haxe timer play course update second. Of course, this doesn't help very much because up here we're still displaying the settings. So what's the quickest way to do this? So you can say you want to have a derived value. And that's, well, let's do it by seconds because then we can check that it actually does something. State. So if it's running, until, right? By default, we'll be using the seconds that we get. And if it's running until some point in time, then until time. They now get time. This is what is this? I never quite remember. Okay, this looks like milliseconds. So we're gonna grab this difference and we're gonna modulo 60 that thing. No, I don't know operator precedent. Float should be one. Start. Let's go. Okay, and then we want that displayed here. Let's hope that this actually works. As you can see, tick, tick, tick. Are we even updating? Sorry? It's a trace updated. Let's see. I have a hunch that I broke this force update thing. Never know. Okay. Seems wild. So what did I say here? Double digits. Oops. Let's trace this. We're computing the wrong value. Okay. Start. Okay. So whatever fancy thing this is didn't quite work out. Yeah. Ah, now I understand. Actually, yeah, dates are pretty tricky. But anyway, um, these computed values are actually cached, because the date per se doesn't change. So yeah, there is some observable data type, but I forgot how to use it. So. Sorry? Nope. Yeah, sure. I guess you could tell the thing just not to be cached, which essentially we're going to do now. Very good. As of course, still the chance that the computation is wrong. Okay. So now this thing is unimpressed. Ah, no, I understand. I actually do. Okay. I'll have to look up some. Yeah, that does not make sense. How are we gonna do this? Okay. This is a pretty horrible hack. Or you can always do, if you want to force invalidation of something, you can just introduce a state and then bump it. Okay. Then we can make this variable. This isn't it. And this is the kind of code that Nadako loves. Create all sorts of side effects via property access. And then we don't actually have to force update here. We can just go tix++. No, nothing happens. That's very good. A delay, we bump the ticks. What does it say? It requires initial value. You have one. Let's see if there was something weird in the compiler cache. That is a distinct option, but no, yes, it wasn't. Why does it not? Okay, let's just make this whole thing depend on ticks. I have a hunch that it's that. Also not. So why does it change? Sorry? Well, because we pause, and that goes kind of resets the state. Yes, I would say, possibly. But Why does it update? Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. What just happened here? I'm sorry. No. Yes. So the seconds to be displayed. Let's trace the text down. Why does it say 0 again? It looks like this code just doesn't get called. I'm sorry. Take plus plus. Start. Take 1. Updated 1. Sorry? It is just one-shot time, but because it's in here, and this is well after every update, it should actually loop in that sense. Like this should, whatever. Just going to brute force this now. Hopefully. Okay. Now everybody is impressed except for this one. Trace this button takes. Start. Maybe I forgot to update something. Okay, something's happening. Getter is called. Display seconds. What am I doing wrong? Update trace value. Now, let's see what's here. So the child does not want to update. Why though? But at least the timer stops after running down, so that's cool in some sense. Of course, this one never updates. Let's track it. Because the value is actually never consumed by the thing, only by the children. but this is definitely a bug. In any case, let's pretend it worked out of the box. Okay, let's make a function out of this. Static function. What do you want to call this? I don't know. Get date. So there's going to be a default, that's an int, and there's going to be a function that takes seconds and returns. Let's take this whole thing. So seconds, and then this is standard string e divided by 60. Standard string e divided by modulo 24. Play hours. Minutes. Hours. Play one. What? Expected. Ah. Default. Something. Ah. Okay. I haven't quite get used to this new function syntax, but it's nice. What? Yeah, absolutely right. I think without a type checker, I would be start. Okay. What just happened? I broke it. Huh? What did I do and why? Is this checked? Slightly confused. Oh, let's just put this force update here and be done with it. So what did I want? Oh yeah. So let's see that this, yeah, that basically kind of seems to work. Except that the updates are not properly propagated without help. Okay, I guess we're out of time. Anything besides that? that depends a lot on the underlying target platform, where you even get them. So the way that they, I mean, in a browser you would use a resize observer or something, register it, respond to that. Does OpenFL have resize events? Just for the stage, right? Yeah, I mean, somebody compute some layouts and then you get the event at that point. But yeah, I don't really know that I can answer that question generally. Depends a lot on where it's even coming from. Okay, all right. Thank you. Oh yeah, sure.
There's stuff that looks like work done. But then what struck me when you were going through both examples, I'm reading it, but it looked like you declare a button somewhere and you had to build up everything that was around that button to behave. And I think that's the flexibility you're bringing. But I guess what I'm asking is, would it be reasonable for the framework to have defaults? So that it's going to have a little boilerplate next to the button that will take care of certain things.
I mean, usually you wouldn't ideally create all of your buttons and stuff from scratch. You go out and take some third-party stuff and plug that in and supply just the information that it needs. It's also, in this case, I mean, some of the code has been a bit more Byzantine than necessary because actually the communication between the model layer and the view layer never was direct. Like we never passed around instances of the models, always arts. So function names changed because usually I use on for events, and on the model I give it meaningful names.
So you're saying with your framework approach, putting it much
Sorry.
the buttons.
Like which one? Can you?
I'm sorry, I can't really give an example. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you can do. So, for example, let's have this. Let's get back to the calculator. I'm not really sure if that's your question, but right. So if we take this view right here, calculator view, and so we have this fancy button, and it has, for example, this event callback. So in here we can add a body to it. It was previously not there, and we can do other. And then if, for example, for all operations, just don't provide a click handler. So, and if I press an operation now, it just says yay, like that's the default behavior.
The other thing, it seems kind of dumb, but maybe useful is a default to help with debugging. So like you're basic default. You kind of have them commented out, but they're like there for the developer to read them and then comment them out and kind of turn
Well,
them on now.
yeah. I mean, one thing that kind of helps with that. Where is that? No. Okay. No. I got a link somewhere. So there's this. Yeah, I want to go there. So this is the example, but compiled out with React. And what makes it interesting is that React actually comes with its own dev tools. So you can actually look at all the UI hierarchy that you have here. Not the stuff that you have in the DOM. The DOM is other things, so to speak. Let's close this. So this is just a plain DOM, but there's also a React tab. And you can, so you see that, for example, this is a to-do item view, and you can see the DOM that's in it. Outside is this header and this footer, and you can look at all the data that's inside. Item, whatnot. Sorry. And so you could do that to look at the data. The other thing is, of the two issues I faced, one was I didn't think about it myself that dates actually don't change. It's just that time runs. And the other thing, why the UI didn't update, I don't know. I'll have to track that. But usually you should not expect that. So that usually looking at the values is already half the job in debugging, and React provides you with the tools actually. Okay, let's call it a day.